So, as most everybody knows, it is currently Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, and in honor of the 50th anniversary, they've obviously released a lot of merchandise to commemorate it, including a pair of Minnie Mouse ears that they are selling for $750. Let me just say that again, these retail for $750. As soon as I saw those come up on ShopDisney, I immediately was like, yes, that is absolutely a Disney versus DIY because I can make them for like $15, and there is absolutely no universe in which these ears should cost close to $1,000. So what's so bonkers about these ears and the price that they're being sold at is that there is not any like real gold or crystals or precious gems. It's literally gold sequins and plastic rhinestones. And what is just absolutely bananas is that there are some people who really bought these ears. So before I get into the DIY of these, how I made my own ears, I wanted to read some of the reviews for these ears that are published on ShopDisney by people who actually bought them. This first review here says 1000% not worth the money. Super disappointed. The ears are lightweight and plastic jewels. No substance at all. The bag has nothing written on it and the tags are as long as a CVS receipt. Would have been maybe worth it if it came with some park tickets or a membership to Club 33. I feel punked. This is going right back to the warehouse. And as they've included in their photos, these should like max be worth $35. Next review, we have another 1-star review, even got a replacement pair. I was beyond excited for my ears to arrive just to see one giant scratch in the cheaply made jewels along with fraying sewn sequins. I had never returned something so fast for an exchange. They were very helpful and even promised to hand pick my next pair of ears and shipped a second pair out within a day or two. I thought this time they'd be perfect, but no. This time 3 cuts on the front side. I wanted to have these ears in my life so bad, so I might keep them, but I know I'm honestly crazy if I do keep them. The last reviewer was spot on. Bag isn't special, box is okay. Tag about 6 inches long, you want to cut it off, but why would you? They're $800 after tax. Here's some photos. Disney fan Cassie, I beg you, do not keep the ears, return them, get your $800 back. I'd rather just send you a pair that I've made. Okay, so I think as we've established, this is beyond the most ridiculous that Disney has ever gone with a pair of ears. In my whole like designer versus DIY or Disney versus DIY series, I've kind of like poked fun at these like very high retail prices for ears that I myself can very easily recreate, but this is next level bonkers. So in this video, I can spare you the $750 spent on just gold sequins and plastic rhinestones, and instead you can make your own pair that I think look just as good, and if not better in some aspects. Here's just a quick close-up of my DIY ears. We have a black velour headband and bow, and then the ears are a gold sequin fabric with gold rhinestones glued both onto the front and the back, made in my usual traditional full sewn style, and this is a fully sewn bow. So let's get into the DIY of how I made my own version of the $750 Walt Disney World 50th anniversary ears. I'm using black velour fabric for both the headband and the bow. This is leftover from when I made my Bobble Bar designer ears. Then I have my standard 1-inch plastic headband, and also for the headband I'll be lining it with some black braid trim. Then I'll be needing my headband template. I'm going to link to some videos in the description where I describe how to make your own headband template, since that's something that you want to custom do to fit the exact taper of whatever brand headband you're using. So I'm going to trace my template onto the fabric and cut that out. I always like to put some double-sided tape onto my headband so that it's easier to get the fabric to stick on and fold it around easier. And then I'm just going to go around and glue all the fabric edges down here. If you have a good template, everything should nicely meet in the middle. Then I'm going to take my black braid trim and glue that on the center to line it. For the ears, I bought this gold sequin fabric on Amazon. It's sold as a table runner. That's a really great, easy place to get small amounts of sequin fabric. Now this is pretty sheer, so you're either going to want to use 2 layers of the sequins, but what I'm going to do is I have this nice gold metallic fabric on hand that I use for bows for other ears, and so I'm going to use this as the lining and have a layer of this with the gold sequin fabric on top of it. Then I have my circle ear templates. I'm going to link to a PDF in the description that has my exact templates for the ears, and then we can cut out our fabric. So I have cut out squares of my fabric, and I have 2 pieces of the sequins that are right sides together, and then I have 2 pieces of my metallic lining, and those are going nice faces down. And we're going to kind of sandwich that together. And then I have drawn out my circle template and made marks for where I'm going to start and stop sewing. Then I use my sewing machine to just sew all the way around the ear and making sure I leave the bottom base open for the stuffing. Then I'm going to cut off the excess fabric here, but always making sure to leave some extra at the bottom where the opening is so that we can sew it up nicely. Then we can take our ear and turn it right sides out. It always helps if you have a little stuffing tool to kind of nicely get all the edges turned in. And you can see now that the lining makes it look really nice, no see-through fabric here. So now I have both ears sewn and turned right sides out. Then I'm going to take my household firm foam. This is about 6 millimeters thick, and I'm going to trace out my ear template, which again will be linked in the description, and then this goes inside of the ears. So I have my 2 pieces cut out. You kind of just taco fold them and then slide it into the ears, and this helps to add some nice body and stability and support to your ears. Once you have the foam inserts in, then take out your Fiberfill and you can stuff the ears to your desired puffiness. So now I have both ears all stuffed and ready to be sewn up. I always sew the base of my ears closed, so I thread through my needle and then I basically just kind of tuck in and stuff down both of the edges so that we have a nice clean base, and then I just do a simple little whip stitch to close the base. And once that's done, repeat that for your second ear. Now on my headband, I have measured using a tape measure to mark where the center is, and then I've marked 4 centimeters down on each side to know where I'm going to sew on the ears. So in sewing on the ears, you're going to put your needle through the base corner of your ear, and then you're going to thread it through the headband just right above where you marked. And you're going to want to pull that nice and taut. And then this is just the standard way I make all my ears. You're just going to do a little bit of a ladder stitch, doing a stitch in the ears, and then doing a stitch through the headband. And you're going to want to make sure you pull the stitches nice and taut all the way around. Now I will say I don't work with sequin fabric that much because I don't really like it, so this is a little bit more difficult or finicky to sew. Also the sequins make a little bit of a mess, but it still comes up with a really nice and finished look. And when I'm sewing the ears onto the headbands, I always make sure that my thread matches the color of my headband so that even if there is a little bit showing, you won't see it that much. So then I make sure I sew around my ears 2 full times, and then I will tie off the thread and kind of hide it and snip it off. And then once one ear is done, you can repeat and sew on the second ear. So now we have the base of our ears complete. So I found some gold rhinestone gems from Joann's, and I have sorted them out into their kind of different sizes and shapes to easily work with them. And then I'm going to be using some E6000 to glue them onto the ears. I have this jewelry and bead one because it has a fine tip, so that'll help make things a little bit less messy. So now really all you have to do is just go ahead and glue your rhinestones onto the ears. What I'm doing is I'm starting with the largest gem sizes first and then placing them on. And I'm roughly-ish kind of following what the actual ears look like, but mainly I'm just trying to make sure that my ears themselves look symmetrical. So I'm doing one side and then I'm doing the same to the other, and then I'm just going to sequentially go down to smaller and smaller rhinestone sizes to fill in the ears. So I'll link to both of the sets of gold rhinestone gems. I found them at Joann's. Obviously, they're not a perfect match for the plastic rhinestones that Disney uses, but I really like the metallic finish on this. And so this is where you can just have fun and, you know, put in the rhinestones however you like. So now let's do a time jump to where they're fully done and I've glued all the rhinestones on to the front and the back of the ears. Now lastly, finishing up our bow, we're back with the black velour fabric. I have folded the fabric in half so that the fold is along this left side of fabric. And then I've drawn out a rectangle that is 14 centimeters by 11 centimeters tall. Now you can keep your bow just like that if you want, but to really make it next level, I've marked where the center of the bow is lengthwise, and then I've drawn in almost like it's like a bow tie shape. It kind of goes from convex to concave to convex, and this is going to help improve the shape of the bow when we're sewing it and also kind of when we're folding it. So I just simply went and just freehanded this design, but you can take a screenshot of this here and kind of use this as more of an actual bow template. Also with this bow, I've marked where it's going to be the base of my bow, where I'm going to have it open and put stuffing in. So then I'm going to go and just sew my bow along my lines that I marked. Now you'll notice I ended up sewing all the way straight through and not stopping where I had marked to leave an opening, but that's okay because we can just go back and seam rip it. So I'm just going to seam rip and reinforce where my bottom opening is going to be. And then I have cut out the excess fabric, and then we're going to go on and turn the bow right sides out. And again, I'm using a stuffing tool to make the process easier, and you want to make sure you try and get the corners nice and sharp. And so you can kind of start to see the little bow dip in the center helps with like the bow tie shape. Then I'm going to take some Fiberfill and just add a little bit of stuffing to give the bow a little bit more puffiness and life to it. For the bow center, I've cut out a piece of fabric that is 4.5 centimeters wide, and then I'm going to use hot glue to fold in the edges to the center and glue them down. Since I have this opening at the bottom still, I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue and close that up. Then I'm going to glue my bow center onto the base and then wrap it around the bow, trying to give the bow a kind of like nice little folded look. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm cutting off the excess of that fabric, and then I'm gluing and folding over the edges and gluing that down. And then the last step is just to glue the bow onto the headband. So I'm gluing in the center where I've marked, placing down the bow and making sure it does look nice in center. And then I always like to add a little bit of reinforcement glue on each side. And voila, a beautiful DIY version of the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary jeweled Minnie Mouse ears are complete, and definitely better than spending $750 on just some plastic and sequins. So I hope that you've enjoyed my DIY take on these ears. Say if Disney were like to sell a pair of ears for $750 and like for it to be worth it, I want like real gold. I want real gems on it. The pair as is that they're selling that the people who bought them and the reviewers have received, I'd say Disney should sell for a max of $50. They're like, you could sell them for $50 in honor of the 50th. You know, limited edition ears, got some sparkle and bling to them. And before I end this video, it's kind of like worth mentioning and noting that the corresponding Mickey ear hat, which also is just plastic and sequins, is being sold for $1,000. Like for that $1,000, do you get the ear hat like and a full annual pass or something? I guess it just keeps up with that great new Disney motto of pay more and get less. So I'll just be here enjoying my own DIY version of the ears, and if anybody does make their own DIY pair, I'd love to see what you come up with. But thanks for watching.